you somehow developed a resilient mindset.
You have today, you have this moment when you can seize it, or somebody else is going to take it from you. I have to stay busy. I have to get going. If you're sitting on the couch and you're watching TV, you're letting your life pass you by and tomorrow's not promised. There's your perfect example right there of get off your ass and get moving.
Spartans, listen up.
We need to sleep better. So how do you sleep better? Never thought about it before. And so I met Jack, I met Essentia. Pay attention to the mattress you sleep on because it's loaded with chemicals.
Recovery, cooling, and pressure relief, all in one mattress. Up to 60% more deep and REM sleep. Less inflammation, faster bounce back. No toxins, no EMFs, no BS.
My buddy Jack over at Essentia, he's kind enough to give us a code for the Spartan community. That's DECA, that's Tough Mudder, all of us. Use Spartan25, get a discount. Prioritize your sleep so you can sleep faster, you can do more burpees, you can train more, you can get healthier. When you sleep well, you live well.
Joe DeSena, CEO and founder of Spartan, host of the Hard Way podcast. I've got Ryan Birdman Parrott. This guy's an overall badass, Navy SEAL. Welcome aboard, sir.
Thank you, brother. It's good to be back.
You withstood a pretty serious explosion. How many years ago?
2005. 20 years ago.
20 years ago, and lived to talk about it. But before we get into that, I love to go back to that. So 2001, you walk into a recruiter's office, or?
I walked into the recruiter's office on 9/11 to go sign up. And they're like, you can't join. First, you can't become a SEAL like right out of the gate. Secondly, I can't let you join today because you're too young. So I had to wait 6 months to actually do the delayed entry program. But I got a free membership to the YMCA. I'm like, why wouldn't anybody join? You get a free membership? I'm in. So I was running and I was training. And this is something I just told a group of kids. I saw a guy in the gym who had these huge biceps. He was working out and he was lifting 15-pound dumbbells, curling them. And I'm like, hey, can I ask you a question? How do you get those arms curling that little weight? And he goes, because it's all about sustainment. I want functionality. I want health and wellness. I don't want, and I mean, I'm not saying he was like a bodybuilder huge, but they were bigger arms than 15. And so he worked with me and he showed me it's not about overtraining. It's about proper training and it's about lifting the weight that you can do perfect form. Wow. So that was a blessing. And then swimming, but I got the buds and I was a complete disaster and everything. So you just suck it up and get it.
And how close were you to quitting during buds?
I don't ever believe I was close to quitting. I think you're on the fringe of getting hurt more than guys who want to make it through the program. More worried about taking care of your body after hours to make sure that you can at least survive the next day. That's the bigger key. Because then we don't think about quitting. We're like, you see a guy who's a monster quit, and then you see a pro triathlete quit.
So what year was it when you were finally inducted?
So I went through buds in 2003, made it to the SEAL team in 2004, first deployment 2005 to Iraq. It's interesting. I mean, I was printing photos at Walgreens before a Navy SEAL. That's my like kind of trajectory there. So it's definitely different, but I don't know. I think for guys like us, we're searching for that meaning and purpose. We're searching for that camaraderie. And always, I don't know why, but we're searching for something better. Like I've never proven anything to myself until this point. So now I want to see what else I have in the tank. And when you get around people like that, you just become so immersed in excellence. Like you want to be like that guy and that guy. You want to be able to shoot that fast and run that fast and do all this stuff. And pretty soon you're operating at a level you never thought you'd be at. It's pretty cool.
I love it. My 19-year-old son is running around here in the office, and I want to see if I can grab him at the end of this podcast, have him talk to you, because he talks about, I don't know how serious he is. I don't know if he has the fire in his eyes like you did when you spoke to that Marine teacher. But he talks about when he gets out of school, he wants to be a Navy SEAL. All right, you're in the war zone now, 2005. What's going on?
The caveat is I'm a new guy in a SEAL platoon, so we don't get to do all the cool stuff. We're on every op with the guys, but we're not in the front of the train leading the charge. Basically standing in the back of the train. They go and clear the target fast, hard, and then you walk in and you're like, wonder what happened in here. You don't even see most of it. So what was really cool is when we got to country, there was no messing around. Everybody moved in quick. We got set up fast, and then we already started actioning. And that was so cool. Even in training blocks before combat, you get to a certain training area, you don't screw around. You get in, you start setting up, and you move. And it was watching these professionals who had already, the whole platoon had just come back from war when I joined them. So they're all seasoned. They've already seen the show. I know nothing. So, of course, I'm going to shut my mouth and listen. And then to see them do it live, you pinch yourself. You're like, I can't believe I'm part of this right now. Like, I get to do this and I'm paid to do this. It's a secret. Don't tell everybody. But it is one of the greatest jobs because it gives you a fulfillment that money cannot give you, that nothing else externally can give you. That's why the military is so special. And the special operations is such a unique thing within that community. So moved fast. I mean, we were targets, daily targets. Every other day we were hitting targets at night. So what I loved about it in the initial burst was that I finally got to put all my training to the test. It's like being a pro athlete, training to get to that pro and making the junior team never being brought up to the show or being brought up to the show and sitting on the bench the whole time. Can't imagine. And there was a lot of guys pre-war that did all this training that didn't see the show. And so I got to put my training to the test and see what I was made of. And SEAL training doesn't teach you to be a Navy SEAL. It teaches you to be a professional student, to learn proper etiquette in BUDS and in SEAL training. When then you go to SQT, SEAL qualification training, which gives you a little more seasoning on that food. But then you show up to the SEAL team, and now you're doing an 18-month training session to become a SEAL, to go operate with those guys. So there's a huge progression there. Thank God there's a progression. You go from day one to starting in war, it'd be over. But you know, I always say, like, we're more technologically driven than ever and more skilled. Just like athletes today, they are so more skilled than pro athletes 20 years ago. But the grit of our veterans, the old school guys, you can't duplicate that anymore. Those dudes were hard. They went to Hell Week their first week of training. We got 5 weeks. So our predecessors, we hold them up to the highest level. You meet an old guy who's brittle and he's in his 80s and he's like, oh, I remember when I got to get on that boat. And you're like, you're the coolest dude ever. I'll die for you.
What year was it then when you felt like you were fully trained?
Wow, that's a great question. I think I was on my second deployment is when I felt like I started to really understand what it meant to step out of being a new guy and really lead a couple guys. And feel confident knowing that what was thrown at me, I could pretty much handle most of it. You're not, as a new guy, you're still just drinking through a fire hose. So it's repetition, right? That's why when the guys do 15, 20 years, 30 years of service, those are real deal. Like those guys I love my brothers too. And I make fun of them all the time because I only did 8 years. And I'm like, yeah, you just couldn't find anything better to do, which I don't think there is anything better. But ultimately, that's when they're really seasoned, where they know. And that's why they're leaders in such a great community.
So now let's dive in. What year was it when you basically went through this traumatic experience?
So 2005, my first deployment. So we're new guys. There was 2 of us, and there was 3 of us. So you're in the show, you're doing the job, and what's interesting about it is you're learning every single operation. And there's a lot of times that it was getting pretty gnarly because it was the heyday of the war. 2005, it was just kicking off. You know, it was getting after it. Now, we were very fortunate where we had really seasoned guys in our platoon and our task unit, so there was a lot of knowledge there. So we were going on these ops, and then this one particular op we were going on was supposed to be a cache. We're looking for a cache of demo. And so we had to go do a full nighttime mission, used boats, went over the water, cached boats, went on land, search and seizure, and we found nothing. There was no cache. And so we had to wait 24 hours. The next night, we're unstacking our boats, we're getting on the water, and then we're getting back in our vehicles, and we're convoying back to base. 3 clicks south of Habanilla, which is where we were staged at the time, there was a guy on the side of the road. And I remember them calling it out in comms. There's a guy, 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever. And so they crashed. They threw a crash out, which was to startle him, scare him, see if what he's going to do, and find pose or posture off of that. And sure enough, I'm the 4th or 5th car in the convoy, so I know that if it gets real, that I'm going to be the one opening up a 50 caliber. And I'm thinking to myself, to this point, I hadn't shot my gun yet in live combat at like a person face to face. So I'm like, am I going to do my first kill with a 50 caliber machine gun? I'm pretty sure it's the dark humor we have, but if I do that, I will immediately become a hero. And so I'm in. So I turn the weapon, I'm getting in position. And then all of a sudden, right as I actually go to we take a safety off. And right as I'm getting ready to set that up, boom, this massive explosion. Just, I can't It took me a while to describe it because it was so fast, so violent. You don't even know what happens until it happens. You don't even hear the noise or the snap until after you're in some kind of movement, which for me was straight up. I remember it lifted the front end of the Hummer off, blew half of the block of the engine off, lifted the Hummer up, down on the ground, and then it was moving 40, 50 knots, just skid to a stop, dirt everywhere, smoke, fire, shrapnel spit through the cabin, fire everywhere, burned everybody inside. And when it blew me on top of the turret. Now, we like to make the joke that it blew me like 1,000 feet because, I got to tell a lie, right? Got to really embellish it. It blew me on top of the turret and I rolled off and I'm completely disoriented, just rocked. Burns on my face, nasty. I got burns on my eyes, my corneas, what they call welder's burns. I couldn't really see. I had to blink a bunch. And then I remember seeing my driver laying outside of his Hummer with his foot still inside the Hummer, and he just blew through an 1.5 inch thick steel door. When you blow a human body through something like that, there's going to be problems. And so I ran up to him and started my medical assessment. He was bleeding out of his femoral artery, had a tibia sticking out. I mean, it was just bad. And of course, on the opposite side, other guys are working that situation, and I don't even know what's happening over there. In the back of my mind, while we're working on people, you're still thinking, are we going to get ambushed right now? So that's why we always say, win the fight first. Tackle it as quick as you can, get them off the X, get them back to get help. So in case an ambush comes, we can at least get away from it. Luckily, we were not ambushed. And because we work together as a cohesive unit, because we love each other, 22 minutes from the time that we were blown up to the time everybody was under the knife getting surgery, everybody lived.
22 minutes. That is ridiculously awesome.
And that's why I don't have any issues with it. Everybody's still here. I can talk about it. And I think a lot of people can learn from it. And it's funny to talk with the other guys, though, because we're all in the same vehicle, yet everybody had a different experience.
So you were on the turret at the time and got blown up into the sky, a.k.a. Birdman, and then landed back on the turret?
Landed, just on top of the vehicle and then rolled off, yeah.
Crazy times. And that was 2005, but you stayed in then for a while.
Oh, I mean, there's nothing worse than getting shipped home because you're medically injured and being away from everybody. I don't care. This is why when you see soldiers that are missing limbs and they're like, I just want to go back, they mean it. It's being away from the brotherhood is the worst. That's isolation. That's terrible.
Well, it's so high octane, I guess, what we're talking about here, that when you go home, it's pretty boring.
Well, this is the problem. I was stationed in San Diego. I knew nobody. I knew the SEAL command. I didn't know any civilians. So when I was there and my team is completely deployed, it was me. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And I'm not good at going out and making friends with people that I don't know. So I convinced my master chief to send me back overseas, even though I was injured. And I was like, I don't care if I have to just clean the toilets or, whatever, I'm doing it. And he was like, you know what? I have an idea. This is great. And I'm probably going to get yelled at by him for saying this, but I was not medically fit to go back overseas. So he said, you can't do. The Navy looks at it as though you're not medically fit. I said, shouldn't I be in charge of that? Shouldn't I tell you that I'm ready? And he's like, right, but that's not how it works. So I was like, all right. So I bugged him every day for a week. And he finally said, all right, this is crazy, but we apparently need a UAV pilot overseas. Fly these little drone planes. I was like, uh-huh. And he's like, so if I send you to UAV school, which is 2 weeks right now, that will supersede your medical readiness for that qualification and I can dump you overseas. I'm like, am I going? And he's like, you're going. I'm like, yeah. So of course I went back overseas. I threw the plane up in the sky, crashed it, never flew a plane again, but I was with the boys.
So when did you retire? When did you get out?
2010. I did 3 deployments to Iraq, I did a mini deployment to Lebanon and one to the Philippines. I did 8 years and I started to see a shift. There was a new administration. There was a shift in the war. We weren't doing as much kinetic action as we were supposed to. And we are not a humanitarian mission. We are there to kill bad guys. That is 100% what we do. And when you cannot do that, it becomes really, really difficult. There could be, you get lethargic with things, you get complacent, guys get killed, get hurt. And I felt like I was starting to get complacent because we weren't doing that. And so I went to training and I was like, I'm going to wait for a year and see what happens. And I called the command. I said, are we getting any hotter? And he goes, no, it's going to get worse. And I'm like, okay. So I checked out after 8 years because if I sign that next one, I have to stay in for a career.
What do you do now? Like when you got out, what'd you find?
Well, when I got out, I fell flat on my face because what I was looking for, I couldn't find. And so, it's one of these things where we tell guys, do not get out without a plan. You're never going to find what you just had, but you can now you can do something that you want to do as a civilian that you never could do while in. Go chase that dream. But don't be searching for a SEAL team outside of a SEAL team. It doesn't exist. So I fell flat on my face for a while. I used alcohol to kind of mask the pain. I didn't do anything crazy, but I started drinking to the point where I'm like, it's no good for me, and I had to quit. And when I quit, everything started to open up for me. So the simplest way is I started a charity. That's how I got back to who I am supposed to be and what I'm supposed to be doing, is helping people. So we started a charity for burn survivors called Sons of the Flag. Burns is a horrible scenario. I didn't start it because I got burned. I mean, my burns were superficial. They healed. There was an Army Ranger who was severely disfigured from an IED. His life is forever altered. He looks in the mirror, he looks at a completely different person. And I was thinking to myself, like, if that were me, how would I deal with that? How would I cope with that? So we started this charity, and then the fire service adopted us, and it just blew up to where I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing here at a local level, and we got national presence. This is crazy. So I've been charity work for a long time, and then I consider myself, like most guys, an entrepreneur.
For all those folks stuck on the couch watching Netflix, eating popcorn, can't get out of their own way, you somehow developed a resilient mindset. Right? Literally bouncing back, starting a charity, staying connected with people. Like, what do you recommend to the folks out there, the civilians?
I mean, you look at how many people have died for this nation that got their life cut short. And it's not about you had to be a soldier or whatever. There are too many lives that are cut short for you to sit on your ass and waste time. Tomorrow is not promised. And so you have today, you have this moment where you can seize it, or somebody else is going to take it from you. And I wouldn't say that I'm like hyper competitive. So a lot of people would disagree. But when I started looking at that and saying, I'm letting other people take this from me because I'm not doing anything. And then I also know internally that I could be the laziest person that I know if I choose to. I have that inherently in me. So I have to keep moving. So I don't let my mind go to an idle spot. I have to stay busy. I have to get going. A lot of entrepreneurs say that you got to stick with one focus point and you can do it well. And I'm like, BS. I need 5 things going on. And I don't care if it's not a multi-billion-dollar agency, because I get to do different flavors of things. And that's fine, because I also own my time where I can spend with my kids. So if you're sitting on the couch and you're watching TV, you're letting your life pass you by and tomorrow's not promised. There's your perfect example right there of get off your ass and get moving.
And all the people that came before you, like you said, that dedicated their life in one way or another to make this exist for all of us, like, wouldn't be fair to them if you're just wasting your life away.
They would give anything to have another moment with their family, with their friends, and an opportunity for a minute.
How do people find you?
So there's 2 websites, sonsoftheflag.org, sonsoftheflag.org, and you can go to birdseyeviewproject.org, which is our other cause. And that supports multiple causes around the nation, 2 in the UK. Because we look at charities and they operate in these silos, and I don't agree with the idea that because you're a charity that focuses on this, that you're going to be the only ones to fix it. So we all have to come together. We got to stop duplicating causes and efforts, come together and start really fixing that veteran, the first responder holistically, but well-rounded as well. So we really work on our charities. We vet them, then we partner with them, and we stay with them for a long time. And so we do really crazy events to raise capital, because I like doing psychotic things. It's just fun, right? Like you do too. I mean, who would ever think I'm going to put a Spartan race together across the world? And I've done them. They are... I like to push myself, so I end up coming out of that with getting my ass kicked the whole time. So, and I love that.
No, it's good. It's good for you. It's good for us. So, yeah. So, listen, you start telling people Spartan is yours, Tough Mudder is yours, whatever you guys want. I'm honored to have you here. I'm thankful for your service, and I'm happy you're alive.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you.